Hello everyone and welcome to another Watercolor Wednesday. I am Allison with the blog A Glimpse Inside, and today I will be teaching you how to make this super cute Easter Bunny spring wreath. We need 6 stamps for this painting. Any colors of your choosing. I went real bright and bold, but you can do whatever you want. And it's not super hard. The hardest part will be coloring your bunnies. And even I have trouble with this. My first batch was not good. But let's get started. So our paper is going to be a 5x7. I'm sorry, a 5x5 square. And then the stamps that we'll use is from the bunny set. We will use this super cute little tall guy looking like he's sniffing some flowers, and then this little fellow right next to him. In the mini flower set, we're going to use these little hyacinth, kind of, I guess, and then this long stem right here in the front. In the original foliage set, we're going to use this big vine. And then in the original flower set, we're going to use the little daisy bunch. And then the colors that I use, again, you can use whatever you like, but what I'm using is number 43 Brilliant Yellow, number 15 Olive Green, number 19 Carmine, number 72 Pine Green, 86 African Violet, number 8 Violet, and then number 45 Sepia. You will also need a pencil, an eraser, or a pencil with an eraser, and then something to make a circle with. I always use a mason jar for my water, and I'll cover it up when I'm not using it. So I'm going to use the outer part of the lid. You can use a ribbon holder. You can use, if you have just some sort of round cutting tool that you use to like cut out paper, you can use that. Whatever works for you. So I'm going to use my round cutter, or sorry, round mason jar lid, and then just a pencil. I'm going to center it up on my paper, and then just do a real light trace around the outside of that. Okay. So, we will start with our tall bunny friend here, and I'm just going to ink them up in sepia. So we'll ink the entire bunny. Alright, so I want to make sure that he's like within the circle here and kind of like within the wreath, kind of on the wreath. So I'm going to line him up kind of over here on this side, kind of with his feet overlapping this section of the circle. It's kind of hard to tell exactly where you're putting him down, but as long as something of him, so his feet and tail kind of go over the circle. And then this way we can just fill in kind of flowers around him. And okay, so next, since he's in place, we're gonna need to cover him up. You can do 2 things. You can just take a post-it note or post-it paper and just kind of stick it on top of him the best you can, but leaving gaps. Or what I did here is I just actually stamped him all together onto my post-it tape, or you can do it on the sticky section of a post-it note, and then I cut him out. And this way I'm protecting him exactly the way he is. So when I press my second bunny over it, because I want the second bunny to be behind the first one, kind of peeking out from behind him, and I don't want to take anything away or accidentally ink over him. So this just totally protects him, has his exact lines, and I don't have to worry about like tearing tape and whatever. So for this, we're going to use our positioner. If you have one, great. If not, you don't have to use it. It's just kind of easier. So I inked this bunny up with sepia as well. And then we're just going to press it right in the corner. So, and now I can just use him, like place this however I want him to sit. And I'm going to actually, I don't want all of his back leg here. So I'm going to try to wipe that back off. I'm just going to go ahead and wipe his tail off so I don't accidentally get his tail out where I don't want his tail to be seen too. And give him a quick little refresh color. Okay, so I think that is where I want my little second friend to sit right there. So then I put my positioner back, remove that part, and then press them down. And our bunnies are there. So now I'll take this part off. So now you can see he's hiding right behind him. Didn't have to worry about lines overlapping. Worked out quite well. So next we will add some water and color. So for these guys, I'm just going to use straight sepia for him. And then this other cute little guy, I'm going to make him more of a gray color. So I'll be mixing African violet and sepia. So on my palette, here's African violet. And then I'll do like a big thing of sepia. Okay, so I'm going to start by kind of just dragging a little bit of color out of him. Just to kind of get a feel of where I, want stuff here. I'm going to try to keep the top of his feet white and the top of his paw, and then kind of like his ears, and then some of his head and stuff white. Nothing wants to happen right now. There we go. My brush wasn't wet enough. Okay, so same thing, kind of him. That one foot's so hard, so I'm just gonna kind of, where he's overlapping here, I'm gonna darken him. Tips of his ears, kind of the tops of his head here. Okay, so now I'm just going to come in and go ahead and paint them in. So straight sepia, make sure I don't have a lot of water, and then I'm just going to brush him in. I like the idea of kind of giving him like a cute little fluffy white chest. So I'm just going to kind of paint that little chest in. And leave the top of his feet, try to leave the tip of his tail, like his little cottontail showing just a little bit, his ears, and then I'm just going to do like a real light wash on around his face here. I don't want his face super dark. I did make this guy a little darker, but it's not exactly how I wanted him to be. You never know. Sometimes I would suggest with your animals and people, before you actually like go full on into a painting with them, I would just take some paper and just practice, because they take some getting used to learning how to like properly paint them in. It can get slightly tricky. I haven't painted them in quite a while, and I had to try a couple times yesterday before I finally was happy. So, alright, I'm going to let him dry for a second, and I'll come back to him in a moment. So, he's getting there. Before I do that, actually, I'm going to blend out his face a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to mix some African Violet with my sepia here to make a gray color, grayish brown. And that will be how I coat my second little fella over here. Again, I'll try to kind of leave his a little too much. There we go. And kind of come down his nose. Kind of leave most of his face white, kind of like I did him. And just a little touch on his ears. And then we will come back after he dries and give him some darker spots. So now that he's got his coat, we'll come back to the first guy over here. I want his under his arms a little darker. Kind of between him here. Like right under where his like chin is. Bottom of his feet. Got a little color out of the line right there. Just wet it and then wipe it into him. Okay. So the bunnies is what's going to take the longest time on this painting. Just trying to get them, you know, colored properly here. He may have just turned a little too purple. That's okay. I will say I'm not an expert at animals yet. I need to practice with them a lot more myself. So I feel like the pressure right now, trying to get these cute little fellas nice. Okay. Uh-oh. I just don't want to cooperate with me today. I might turn it all peachy. Okay. I'm going to leave them for now. We're going to go to our flowers. I can always come back to them. Okay, so we're going to start with our big vine. And olive green here. I'm going to ink up my entire vine. And then we're just going to work our way around the circle. So I'm going to turn my paper and kind of start right here under them and kind of tuck it in there. Stamp it a couple times and then reapply. And then just move along. This would actually be super cute. It's only like almost a half wreath and you leave the top open. That would be super cute too. So I'm just kind of turning it back and forth to kind of change the way the branches are flowing. I don't want them to all kind of, you know, be aiming just straight down the circle here. So just kind of weave it around. And I'm just going to come down and just kind of meet it right before that little fella. I'm just going to color like the tip of it and get a little more in there. And then I think I'm going to do just the tip one more time, kind of like right under them. Okay, so you could always go back if you're like, oh, that spot's kind of has like a little bald spot. You can go back to it, or you just leave it because we have flowers to add. So again, you'll just start right under him, work our way. I kept everything going in the same direction all the way around. So, and then I just stopped right before him. So next we're going to do we're not going to add water yet. So we're going to do our big daisy bunch flowers. And I'm using that bright pink carmine. I don't know why I just said carmine. I said it like I read it. And then just wherever you want flowers. So I'm going to do like a little bunch here. Just work your way around the wreath. So I'm only going to color a little bit, and I'll put some right here by I'll put a little bit over here. Maybe down here. Okay. So again, we're not going to add water quite yet. We're going to move on to our little stemmed flowers. And this one's going to be 2. I'm going to do pine green for the stem and then violet for the petal. And I'm not going to color the stem all the way. You can if you want like longer, but I just kind of want it a little shorter. And then I'm just going to tap this in kind of a couple times in a couple places. Kind of moving it around the flowers. I'm going to kind of come right below them here. Right up in here. So anywhere that you're now, like, you want to fill in gaps, I will go like right here. So I'm doing about 3 to 4 times per stamp. You could do a little less, however you want to do it. I'm going to tuck him in like right here, making it look like he's reaching up and smelling those little flowers. Probably we'll do like 2 right there. So now I'm going to flip it. I'm just like, okay, can I add something somewhere? So I'm thinking I may stick one like right up here with those guys. Okay. And again, you can always go back if you think there's a spot that's too bare. But then we're now onto our last flower. So it's these little like hyacinth blooms, and I'm going to make them yellow or brilliant yellow. So you can color 1, you can color 2. I'm going to do all 3. And now, again, I'm just going to tuck these in wherever I feel like I need a little extra color. Tuck them in kind of right there between those two guys. I can use something right there. Right up here. Kind of brightens up the palette a little bit here. Just makes it fun and cheerful. Alright, and I'm going to do, see if I can squeeze a couple right in between them right there. Make it look like they're really sitting in the wreath. Couple at his feet. Okay. So, it's time to add water. I'm going to start with my vine. And then like the little branches of these guys. So, like normal, just dab away. Try not to touch any of the color of your flowers, especially the pink. It will definitely bleed in to your green. And we don't want to like really carry it over too much. If it's kind of overlapping, you'll be fine, but I don't want it to bleed too much together to give it more of a, you know, dirty look. You can add as much water or as little water as you like. You don't have to add a lot if you'd like to see a lot of definition to like your leaves and stuff. And if you like more of that true watercolor, more water is your friend then. It will just wash it out a little more. And if you accidentally use too much water, you can always just go back and re-ink your stamp and just kind of, you know, I'd re-ink just like a little bit of it. And just kind of try to press it over top just to give a little bit more definition again, and you'd be good to go. So again, with this green, if you want to kind of spread it out a little, you know, bring it, fluff up the wreath in certain spots, you can do that. All right, so now the green's on, I'm going to go to the pink. This color for sure, if you want to spread it out, is like the perfect pigment. It will just stay in that water and just let you spread it. If you're like, you know, even if you're like, oh, well, I just want like a smidgen of pink right there. Now I have a little smidgen of pink right there. This color lends to spread. Even that, I'll do it kind of over there too. All right. And then our yellow. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have been done purple first, but that's okay. Doing yellow. These are so tiny and the details on them are so small that you may lose them when you add some water to them, but that's okay. It's still like a fun little pop of color. So there's our yellow. We will next just touch our purple blooms just to kind of bring out the purple And I'm sorry if it looks like I already did this, because I did. My camera is not my friend lately. So yes, anyways. Okay, so once your flowers are all done, I'm gonna go back to my bunnies. And I'm going to add some more color to my bunnies, just to kind of darken them up in certain spots again. I'm going to add a little bit of color into his ear right there and try to just darken under his leg here, his stomach. Okay, and we'll see if we can get our little gray guy a little darker here. It's kind of a browny gray. But whatever works. He's still cute. Okay, so I'm going to take a tiny bit of this Carmine color and put it on my tablet. It's super, super, super bright, obviously. So I'm gonna put a ton of water in that. And then I'm gonna dip my brush off and just barely take a tiny bit and then dip my brush, and I'm gonna give them little slight pink cheeks here and kind of inside their ears, just to make them even cuter. Who doesn't love a little bunny with some pink on them? Okay, and last thing I'm going to do with that bunny is I'm going to take my thin end of my sepia, and I'm just going to kind of darken some lines here. Anything that may have gotten lost while I was painting. So I'm going to go over his feet a little bit here. And give him kind of more of a leg line, because there isn't one. Kind of lost his paws here. And then we're going to make sure to darken his nose and eye. Same thing for this cute little fella. Go over any lines. Darken anything that we may have accidentally lost. And I'm going to kind of give him more of a chinish. So he looks a little more, got more of a face. And that is it. I'm going to sign and date it. This would be super cute if you had a like happy Easter sign where you can turn it into a card. Happy spring, whatever. I unfortunately don't have a sign. If you can hand letter really well, you can like hand letter it in there. But there's our cute little fellas and wreath. This would be so cute as a card, or you know, just pop it in a frame and display it around Easter. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. Not sure what I'm going to do with my guys yet. They're fun. So yeah, I hope you have an awesome Wednesday, and I will see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.